You won't believe what happened to Alan Payne, the man we all loved as CJ Payne from House of Payne. The actor who always kept himself away from the spotlight in drama finally broke his silence, and what he shared left fans heartbroken. For years, Alan stayed quiet, focused on his work, and never gave the media anything to gossip about. But let me tell you, when he finally spoke out, it was not just a goodbye to Hollywood. It felt like a farewell to everything. People were shocked. They started to ask, what could have pushed such a strong and private man to this point? What happened behind those closed doors that made him walk away from the world he worked so hard to be a part of? Alan Payne was known for being calm, humble, and respectful in an industry where scandals and fights were common. He rose from a working class family in Harlem and worked his way up in Hollywood without making noise. He never chased headlines. His focus was always on doing good work. His role as G Money in New Jack City showed the world his true acting power. And then, when he became CJ in House of Payne, fans felt a connection with him. He played the role of a regular man, full of love and flaws, and that made him real to people. But here's the shocking part. Despite being a famous face on TV, Alan was one of the most private stars. No social media, no interviews, no red carpet moments just for attention. Fans loved him, but they hardly knew him. And that was exactly what Alan wanted. But then something strange happened. Alan suddenly disappeared from House of Payne. No one knew where he went. There was no statement, no reason shared with fans, just silence. Viewers started asking, where is Alan Payne? Why did he leave the show? And this is where it gets interesting. Behind that silence was a storm that no one could see. Alan was carrying a pain that he kept hidden from the world, the loss of his mother. His mother was not just his parent, she was his guide, his light, and the person who kept him grounded. When she passed away, it was like the world shifted for Alan. He once said in a rare interview, "When my mother passed, I lost my center." He began to ask himself, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? That loss hit him harder than anyone could have imagined. The craziest part was that while fans saw him on screen, smiling and acting as if everything was normal, inside, he was struggling. Alan became quiet on set. He would finish his scenes and go straight to his trailer, avoiding people and staying to himself. Producers offered him time off, but he said no. He didn't want to disappoint the people who watched him every week. He kept showing up, kept working, but inside, he felt empty. He wasn't just tired, he was soul tired, the kind of tired that doesn't go away with rest. And destiny took an unexpected turn when, during one of the most important seasons of the show, Alan completely stepped away. Fans were left with questions, rumors started, some said he was fighting with the producers, others said he had fallen into addiction, but nothing was confirmed. And that silence, it only made people talk more. Let me tell you, when Alan Payne disappeared without a word, fans were not the only ones confused. Even people close to him were left wondering what had really happened. Behind the scenes, things were not as simple as they looked. Insiders started to speak quietly about the real reason Alan stepped away. It wasn't just about grief over his mother's passing, though that pain never left him. This is where it gets interesting. Alan had been dealing with something even deeper, emotional exhaustion that went beyond normal sadness. He felt as if the weight of the world was on his shoulders, but he kept it all hidden behind a calm face. On set, he was professional, but as soon as the camera stopped, he would sit alone, staring at nothing, lost in his own thoughts. His co-stars noticed, but Alan kept telling them, "I'm fine." The truth was far from that. But here's the shocking part. Even though producers gave him chances to take a break, Alan refused. He didn't want people to think he was weak. He didn't want to let down the fans who had supported him for so many years. He kept pushing through even when it felt impossible. But behind the scenes, tension started to rise. Alan wanted more control over his work. He wanted to take part in deciding how his character's story went. But the producers didn't agree. There were creative differences, and slowly, those small issues turned into big problems. Some insiders said that Allen felt like he was being forced to choose between his mental health and his career. And that is where the real heartbreak began. Destiny took an unexpected turn as rumors spread like wildfire. Gossip sites and tabloids started writing all kinds of stories. Some claimed Allen had addiction issues, while others said he was fighting with co-stars or dealing with anger behind the scenes. But none of these stories were confirmed. The truth was simpler but sadder. Allen was fighting to keep himself together. He was struggling with anxiety and depression, made worse by the pressure of fame and the loss of his mother. Yet, he stayed silent. He didn't defend himself. He didn't try to clear his name. And this is how the man who had once been a beloved star became the center of gossip and controversy. People forgot the quiet strength he had shown for years. They only focused on the mystery of his disappearance. The craziest part, Allen had started to question everything. He began to think about leaving acting completely. Could he really walk away from a career he had built with so much hard work? Could he let go of the fans who had stood by him? What makes this story different? It wasn't about money. It wasn't about fame. Allen was searching for peace, for meaning, and for a way to heal. He wanted to find a life that made sense to him again, far from the pressure and noise of Hollywood. And as the rumors grew louder, Allen stayed quiet, focused only on trying to find his way. You won't believe how far things went before Allen Payne finally broke his silence. After months of staying out of the public eye, fans and the media kept wondering if Allen had truly left Hollywood for good. The rumors didn't stop. If anything, they grew bigger. Some said Allen was done with acting forever. Others whispered that he had moved away to escape the spotlight. But here's where it gets interesting. After all that silence, Allen came forward in a rare, emotional interview that no one saw coming. And what he shared, it shocked everyone. In this heartfelt moment, Allen looked different. He didn't have that same strong, unshaken look people remembered. His eyes showed pain, but also honesty. He admitted that losing his mother had broken something inside him and that for years he tried to hide it. Allen said, "There were times I wanted to just walk away from it all." He talked about the nights when he felt lost, the moments when anxiety and depression took over, and how hard it was to keep up a perfect image while feeling so empty inside. Let me tell you, this wasn't just another actor talking about tough times. Allen's words felt real, raw, and full of emotion. He wasn't just telling his story. He was showing the world the truth behind the mask. The craziest part was when Allen revealed that during the hardest days, he thought about quitting acting completely. He felt like he had given so much of himself that there was nothing left. But then something changed. Allen said that with the help of close friends, family, and therapy, he started to find small pieces of peace again. He began to see that walking away wasn't the answer. He didn't want to leave behind the fans who had stood by him or the career he had built with such honesty. Instead, he decided to come back, but this time on his own terms. Allen shared that he no longer wanted to chase roles just to please others. He wanted to choose projects that meant something to him, stories that connected with his values. This decision brought him a new kind of strength, one built on truth, not on trying to look perfect. And this is how Allen took the first step toward healing, by being honest with himself and with the world. But destiny took an unexpected turn yet again. Allen hinted that his journey wasn't over. He said, "There are still battles to fight. Some wounds don't heal overnight, but I'm ready to face whatever comes next." You won't believe what came next after Allen Payne shared his truth with the world. Many thought that once he spoke out, the storm would calm. But let me tell you, Allen's honesty opened up a whole new chapter, one that brought both support and fresh challenges. Fans flooded social media with messages of love and respect. They said his words gave them strength and reminded them that even someone as admired as Allen could struggle and still stand tall. People shared how his roles had touched their lives, and hearing him speak about his pain made those connections even deeper. Some said, Allen Payne has always been more than an actor. He's an example of courage. His openness inspired others to speak about their own mental health battles. But here's the shocking part. While fans celebrated his bravery, the reaction inside the entertainment world was mixed. Some in Hollywood praised him, saying it was about time someone spoke the truth about what fame can do to a person's mind. Fellow actors called him a role model for breaking the silence around mental health. But not everyone saw it that way. This is where it gets interesting. There were whispers that Allen's honesty might hurt his future in the industry. A few studios became nervous. They wondered if Allen's openness made him look too emotional or too risky for big roles. Some insiders said his name was being quietly left out of casting talks, where before he would have been a top choice. Allen's decision to step back and share his struggles had now put him at a crossroads. Destiny took an unexpected turn as rumors spread that Allen might focus more on producing or directing. He wanted to tell real stories, stories that meant something, stories that could help others. And the craziest part? Sources said he was even thinking about writing a memoir, a book that would reveal not just his Hollywood journey, but the hidden truths of what it really means to rise, fall, and fight your way through grief and pressure. Fans were eager, hoping to finally understand the full picture of Allen's life, the good, the bad, and the deeply personal. What makes this story different? Allen's path wasn't about scandal or seeking attention. It was about finding peace in a world that often forgets stars are human too. Allen showed that strength isn't always about staying silent. Sometimes it's about speaking out and facing the world with all your scars. As his journey continued, fans kept waiting, wondering, will Allen return fully to acting? Will he create the powerful, honest work he dreams of? Or will he say a final goodbye to Hollywood and choose a new way to tell his story? One thing was clear. Allen Payne's story wasn't over. It was still unfolding, filled with resilience, heartbreak, and hope.